25 EU nations officially launched a new European military pact on Monday. Now, they'd announced this pact back in November, but now we get to see exactly what these countries are working on. Now, there's nothing that's straight off the bat dramatically headline grabbing. This agreement is called Permanent Structured Cooperation, or PESCO. It's not labeled an EU army or something kind of exciting like that. And many of these agreements are on seemingly boring subjects, things like logistics, transportation, training missions. And because of that, not many have really paid much attention to it. But this is still hugely significant. These are the boring details that need to be worked out for EU nations to be able to fight together effectively, to form an EU military. In the words of one former Marine Corps general, amateurs talk about tactics, but professionals study logistics. And it's those kind of basic nuts and bolts and details that Europe is starting to get to grips with now. These things that need to be in place for them to be able to fight together effectively. So they're working on things like how to deploy quickly, how to evacuate and treat wounded members of joined forces, how the different command structures can work together. At the Trumpet, we've long talked about an EU military union. Just to give you a couple of examples, back in 1953, Herbert W. Armstrong wrote that 10 powerful European nations will combine their forces. In 1978, he wrote, "Europeans want their own united military power. They know that a political union of European nations would produce a third major world power as strong as either the US or the USSR, possibly stronger." Now, he made those forecasts based on Bible prophecy, and we're seeing those forecasts coming about right now. It's that Europe is practically working on. So, for example, Revelation 17 talks about a union of 10 kings or 10 nations who, quote, shall give their power and strength to this united European power. So this is one of the most important trends that we're watching at thetrumpet.com. And because of that, we have a whole trend section about it. You can get to that section by clicking on trends at the top right of our website. And there you can read our article, Why the Trumpet Watches Europe's Push Towards a Unified Military. And there you can learn more about this vitally important trend. Also this week in Germany, we saw the nation's response to US President Donald Trump's declaration on Jerusalem. Europe, for a long time, has wanted to get more involved in the peace process in Jerusalem, more involved in peace negotiations between Israelis and Palestinians. And Mr. Trump's declaration that Jerusalem is the capital of Israel is a perfect opportunity or a perfect excuse that they've leapt on to do just that. For example, just this week, Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas, he said that he doesn't want the US to have any role in the peace process anymore because of that declaration. Around the same time, you had 57 member states of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation saying almost exactly the same thing. They said that the decision shows the US administration's withdrawal from its role as a sponsor of peace. And so Europe and Germany are eager now to step in. Der Spiegel had an editorial last Friday titled, "Time for Europe to take the lead on peace." And they made some of these exact same kind of comments that you're hearing now from these Palestinian, from these Muslim leaders, Islamic leaders, and they concluded that it is now up to us, to the Europeans, to the Germans, to come up with new ideas and new formats for these peace negotiations. Within Germany, you had magazines or newspapers like the Süddeutsche Zeitung making very similar calls. You had Federica Mogherini, basically the EU's foreign minister, saying that she wants the EU now to be much more involved in the Middle East in general, but particularly in these peace negotiations. So we're seeing now Germany getting ready to be more involved in the peace process in Jerusalem. And this is another very important trend to watch. For many years now, the Trumpet has forecasted that Germany would be invited to lead these peace negotiations. There's prophecies about that in places like Hosea 5 in the Bible. And this is something, again, that we've written up in much more detail on our website. A great place to start is Mr. McDonald's latest trumpet brief email. You can find that on the front page of our website, up on the right-hand side in the blog section. Jerusalem, Trump, and Israel's Pyrrhic victory.